Here's no life without struggle. You can plan carefully, train diligently, stay focused, and still get blindsided. The job disappears. The person you trusted walks away. The future you were building collapses overnight. And just like that, what once felt solid now feels uncertain. But in that moment, as jarring as it is, you're given a choice. Will this define you? Or will it refine you? That's the line. The one that separates those who stay stuck from those who rise. The Stoics understood this deeply. They didn't wish away adversity. They trained for it. Not just to endure the fall, but to grow through it. If you're building resilience, clarity, and inner strength, then you're in the right place. Let's talk about setbacks. Not as obstacles, but as turning points. When everything starts to fall apart, most people don't reach for courage. They reach for comfort, not the kind that heals, but the kind that hides. We argue over things that don't matter. We bury ourselves in distractions. We avoid the mirror. It's easier to pretend we're fine than admit we're not. Easier to blame someone else than to face what's real. But here's the truth. Avoidance doesn't protect you. It traps you. And the longer you avoid the wreckage, the longer you stay buried in it. The Stoics had a word for the clarity that comes from acceptance, apatheia, not indifference, wisdom, a calm that comes not from ignoring pain, but from understanding it. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you respond that matters." And that response, the first step forward, always begins with truth. Not the version you tell others, not the softened version you tell yourself, the raw truth. So pause, get quiet. Not everything needs to be healed today, but it does need to be seen. What actually happened? Not how it felt, what happened. Did you silence your intuition? Did you tolerate what you should have walked away from? Did you keep hoping it would fix itself when you already knew it wouldn't? These questions might sting. But that sting, that's the starting line. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Every truth you bury becomes a shadow. Every lesson you avoid follows you. You'll call it bad luck. You'll call it betrayal. But it was just a truth you never faced. This isn't about shame. It's about choice. About taking back authorship of your story. Socrates said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." Not as a philosophy, but as a warning. If you don't reflect, you repeat. Different day, same pain, just dressed differently. So here's where strength begins. Write it all down. No filters, no edits. This is what I did. This is what I missed. This is what I allowed. This is what I avoided. Not to stay in the past, but to finally move on from it. Because when your pen hits the page, something shifts. The fog starts to lift. And suddenly, you're not just the person who fell. You're someone who's learning how to rise. Plato once said, "Truth is the beginning of every good thing." So let this be your beginning. You don't need all the answers today. But you do need to stop pretending. Clarity isn't handed to you, it's carved, one honest word at a time. There's a quiet trap that follows collapse. It doesn't announce itself. It whispers, "This is who you are now." One mistake becomes your identity. One failure, and suddenly you are the failure. That's a dangerous lie. Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. The same goes for defeat. If you wear the label long enough, it starts to shape you. That breakup, that missed opportunity, that rejection, it becomes the lens through which you see everything else. And the longer you wear it, the heavier it becomes. But the Stoics knew this. Who you are is not what happened to you. It's what you choose to do with it. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You can't always control the setback, but you do control the story you write about it. You didn't lose your worth because someone walked away. You didn't become broken because something didn't go your way. You hit a wall. That doesn't mean you stop walking. Life tests us. It reveals what we're made of. And the moment you realize your value isn't tied to the outcome, but to your response, that's the moment everything shifts. The job you lost, it taught you something. The mistake, it exposed a weakness and showed you where to grow. But none of it, not a single piece, gets to define you unless you give it permission. So stop handing over the pen. Stop tying your identity to a chapter you haven't finished reading. Ask better questions. Start with this. What would I do today if I didn't believe this setback defined me? Would you take the risk again? Would you speak up? Would you walk into that room differently? Socrates said, "The way to gain a good reputation is to endeavor to be what you desire to appear." That means show up now as the person you want to become. Not after the proof, not after the applause. Now, because who you were in the fall is not who you have to be in the rise. You are not your worst day. You are not the moment you lost control. Stoicism teaches this well. We don't control what happens to us. We control how we interpret it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke." Your perspective is your power. Lose that, and your purpose begins to unravel too. So let's bring it back. Strip away the noise, the discouragement, the self-doubt. Ask yourself honestly, why did you start? What was beneath the surface of your goals? Maybe it was your family. Maybe it was the future you envisioned, the one where you didn't just get by, but built something meaningful. Every time you speak, whether to others or just to yourself, you're feeding something. You're either feeding fear or feeding strength. The difference hides in the details. I'm lost becomes I'm searching. I failed becomes I learned. Not to lie to yourself, but to lead yourself. Socrates said, "The greatest way to live with honor in this world is to be what we pretend to be." So speak like the person you're becoming. Use words that pull you forward, not ones that tie you to the past. That doesn't mean ignoring what happened. It means reframing it with intention. You don't say, "I lost everything." You say, "I'm beginning again, with more wisdom." You don't say, "I'm broken." You say, "I'm rebuilding." Because that shift, that one subtle change, reminds your nervous system, there's still movement, there's still direction, there's still a story unfolding, and it's yours. Language isn't just reflection, it's strategy. It's one of the most powerful tools you have for recovery and reinvention. Plato said, "The beginning is the most important part of the work." So speak with intention, start where you are, and let your words become a blueprint. Not for what you've been through, but for who you're becoming. The beginning is the most important part of the work, and often that beginning doesn't come with a big decision or a perfect plan. It starts with something far simpler, a sentence, one better sentence, spoken daily, until your mindset catches up, until your habits follow, until your life begins to shift. It's funny, when life knocks us flat, our minds jump to the big fix. We think we need a breakthrough, some dramatic move, reinvent everything overnight. But real change? It rarely looks like a leap, especially when you're in the pit, when your whole being is just trying to remember how to breathe again. When you're low, it's not the grand gesture that saves you, it's the small step, the ordinary, unglamorous, steady step forward. The Stoics had no patience for drama. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He wasn't talking about climbing mountains in a day. He was talking about movement, especially in the face of resistance, putting one foot in front of the other, even when it hurts, even when you don't feel ready. That's the secret. Action doesn't wait for motivation. It creates it. We tend to overlook the power of tiny wins. You clean one drawer. Suddenly your space feels lighter. You send one message you've been avoiding, and your mind clears. You take a 10-minute walk, and somehow your energy shifts. It's not magic. It's momentum. And momentum doesn't come from breakthroughs. It comes from repetition, from the basics, from daily, deliberate effort. Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." That's how your brain starts trusting you again. That's how your nervous system shifts, from shutdown to motion. So ask yourself, what's one small win I can earn today? Not 10, not a full life overhaul. Just one. Can you drink a glass of water first thing in the morning? Can you reply to the message you've been dodging? Can you put your phone down and just breathe for 5 minutes? If the answer is yes, do it. If the answer is no, pick something even smaller. Because it's not about the size of the action. It's about the signal it sends. I'm still in this. Aristotle taught, we become just by performing just actions, temperate by performing temperate actions, brave by performing brave actions. In other words, identity is earned, not wished for. You don't wait until you feel like the person you want to become. You act like them now, in small ways. You don't rebuild by shouting into the void. You rebuild by doing the dishes, by showing up to the workout, by finishing what you promised yourself you'd finish. Let go of the idea that it has to be dramatic to count. The real comeback doesn't start when the spotlight hits. It starts in the quiet, uncelebrated moments. When you choose to move, not perfectly, just honestly, because movement unlocks belief, and belief rewrites everything. But here's something people rarely talk about when they talk about healing. How exhausting it is. Not just the pain, but the noise that follows it. The opinions, the explanations, the questions, the pressure to keep performing like nothing's changed. You're in survival mode, held together with threads, still trying to be available to everyone else. But here's the hard truth. You can't rebuild your life while leaking energy in 100 directions. The Stoics were clear about this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." In modern terms, you don't have to let everything in. You don't have to hand out pieces of yourself just because someone asks. When you're hurt, your mind is fragile. Your energy is limited. So why waste it explaining your pain? To people who only listen to respond or to judge. You don't owe everyone access to your process. Not every text needs a reply. Not every call deserves your time. Not every opinion needs your attention. Think about that. You wouldn't leave your door wide open during a storm. So why are you letting people wander in and out of your mind while you're trying to rebuild? Carl Jung once said, "The sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being. That light doesn't burn brighter by overextending. It burns brighter by focusing, by protecting what fuels it." This isn't about isolation. It's about intention, about curating your environment, so it supports healing, not prolongs the damage. Plato said, "The part can never be well unless the whole is well." So start there. Start small. Start steady. And keep moving. Because your comeback doesn't need noise. It just needs you. Present, disciplined, and still willing to rise. You protect your peace by taking an honest look at your life. Who or what drains your energy the moment they show up? What thoughts keep pulling you into the same old loops, ones you've already outgrown? What routines keep you stuck in survival mode when you're really trying to move towards strength? Socrates once warned about the emptiness of a busy life. Being busy isn't always the same as being productive. Sometimes it's just a way to avoid filling the hours with calls, tasks, and conversations that leave you more tired than before. But healing doesn't happen in chaos. It happens in stillness. It happens in boundaries. It happens when you decide not everything or everyone deserves your energy anymore. Protecting your space isn't selfish. It's intentional. You're not shutting people out because of bitterness. You're choosing to build from a place of clarity. That means guarding your inputs, your conversations, your content, your inner dialogue. If it doesn't serve your healing, it doesn't belong in your atmosphere. Some days, you'll wake up with that heavy silence in your chest, that quiet feeling that whispers, maybe not today. It's tempting, so tempting, to listen to it, to skip your routine, to break your promises, to postpone the work. But here's what separates those who rebuild from those who remain stuck. Discipline. The choice to keep moving forward, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. After every hard fall, there's a moment when silence creeps in. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that feels like fog, heavy, pressing on your chest, hard to explain. And in that silence, pain speaks softly at first, then louder until it can't be ignored. Most people, when that voice shows up, the one that whispers the hard truths, try to mute it. They distract themselves, numb out, scroll endlessly, overwork. Because facing pain head-on, that takes a kind of bravery most never practice. But if you want more than just to recover, if you want to truly grow, you have to stop avoiding the lesson pain has come to deliver. The Stoics didn't see pain as punishment. They saw it as preparation. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, just as labor strengthens the body." They believed pain isn't something to escape. It's something to explore, to lean into. Because pain is information. It shows you where you've been asleep at the wheel. It reveals cracks in your foundation. It exposes where your standards slipped, or where your voice stayed silent. So ask yourself the hard question. What is this pain trying to teach me? Did you stay in something too long just because it was familiar? Did you quiet your intuition for the sake of keeping peace? Did you ignore the tension, hoping it would simply pass on its own? These aren't accusations, they're invitations. And if you're brave enough to answer, you'll walk away with more clarity than any self-help book could ever give. Carl Jung said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." Growth doesn't happen in comfort. Comfort keeps you where you are. Pain forces reflection. It sharpens awareness. It demands you look at what's broken, not to dwell there, but to understand, to clean it out, to make sure you don't carry it forward. Plato once said, "All learning has an emotional base." Pain is emotional, but it's also a form of learning. If you're willing to sit with it, not dramatize it, not spiral in it, just sit still, curious, and ask, what is this showing me about myself? The Stoics believed adversity wasn't just a nuisance, it was the furnace that shapes character. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." So don't waste the fire. Don't rush to erase the marks it left. Use it to forge someone wiser, clearer, newer. The key isn't to bounce back. Now's the time. Plato said, "The measure of a man is what he does with power. And your greatest power is the ability to decide who you become. After everything you've lost, define it. Don't let the past decide for you. Don't live like the wound is still open. Say it out loud if you have to. The new version of me walks like this, talks like this, moves like this. Then act accordingly, with your habits, your choices, your energy. Let the old identity fade, not from shame, but because you've outgrown it. Socrates taught that the soul should always be improving itself, not just reacting to the world, but reshaping from the inside out. That's your job now. To lead yourself, not back to safety, but forward into strength. Not to what was, but to what's next. Because you didn't just survive the storm. You became someone new inside it. And that version, that's the one worth building on. Sometimes life hits you with a moment so sharp, so final. It tricks you into thinking the story's over. A rejection, a failure, a betrayal. It happens. And suddenly, everything feels smaller. Your future shrinks, your confidence fades, and your identity, it starts to tie itself to that one moment as if nothing else ever existed before it. But here's the truth. It wasn't the ending. It was just a pause, a comma, not a period. In Stoic thought, there's no such thing as a meaningless event. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look well into thyself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if thou wilt always look." In other words, no matter how far you feel you've fallen, there's something inside you. Something deeper than circumstance, still untouched, still capable, still willing. The setback didn't take your power. It only convinced you to stop using it. But your life, it's not done, not even close. You still have the pen in your hand. And what you write next, that's what defines you. Not the stumble, not the silence, the next word, the next decision, the next step forward. That's what separates the people who stay stuck in the fall from those who rise into something better. Carl Jung once said, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." That quote isn't meant to decorate your wall. It's meant to wake you up. You get to choose. You always did. The pain may not be your fault, but the recovery, that's yours to lead. You're not at the mercy of the past. You're the author of what happens next. Aristotle believed hope is a waking dream. And hope, real hope, is not some wishful fantasy. It's a commitment to keep going. It's the decision to hold the pen steady even when your hands are shaking. It's saying, yes, that happened. But here's what happens next. And then living that rewrite, one day at a time. Socrates reminded us, to move the world, we must first move ourselves. So maybe that's where you start, not with a loud comeback, not with a public declaration, but with one quiet promise to yourself. I'm not letting that moment be the ending. I decide to keep writing, boldly, quietly, on purpose. You stop handing over authorship to pain. You stop letting failure narrate your future. And you start creating a new story. Not perfect, but powerful. A story with scars, yes, but also with strength. A story with lessons, with comebacks, with resilience. That wasn't born in comfort, but forged in struggle. You were never meant to stay in the place that broke you. The fall wasn't your finish line. It was your turning point. What you do from here matters far more than what happened back there. So walk forward, not as who you were, but as who you're becoming. A little wiser, a little stronger, a lot more intentional. Thank you for being a part of Stoic Mindset Mastery. This story is just getting started, and we'll be right here when you're ready for the next chapter.